You can point out the problems in this now failed tariff policy as the markets plunge. Listen to how Trump's own allies, people that he has empowered enough to be a part of his team, but apparently aren't getting through to him, how they warned about what was a fairly well understood economic issue.
A tariff is a tax on Americans. A tariff isn't paid by the exporter. China's not going to pay the tariff. The buyer is going to pay the tariff.
Donald Trump has proposed a 40% tariff, which is a tax on all of you. I think raising your taxes by 40% would kill jobs.
China wins when we fight with Europe. China wins when the American consumer has higher prices because of tariffs that don't affect Chinese behavior.
That's what they said, because remember, even if you don't follow trade policy closely, this isn't one of those 50-50 issues. So while the parties do sometimes debate aspects of targeted tariffs, overall, both parties have said you want to avoid a global trade war. Here was President Reagan 30 years back.
High tariffs inevitably lead to retaliation by foreign countries and the triggering of fierce trade wars. The result is more and more tariffs. Then the worst happens. Markets shrink and collapse, businesses and industries shut down, and millions of people lose their jobs.
Millions lose their jobs. Economic historians note, by comparison, the new Trump tariffs are more widespread than any president and even broader than the infamous example of a failed trade war, the 1930 Smoot-Hawley tariffs. Those are seen by the light of day after many years of study as something that worsened the Great Depression. There's many different ways you can point out the problems in this now failed tariff policy.
The U.S. is trying to provoke China into a major war, and I don't want anything to do with it. I got a lot of love for the Chinese. I don't want to go to war against them. But it's not just that. China has a standing army of 2 million people, the largest in the world. Not to mention, China is a nuclear superpower. They have hypersonic missiles, which the U.S. still doesn't have. And overall, they have a technologically advanced military, which is far superior to the United States'. Not to mention, fighting a war against China geographically would be damn near impossible. That's not stopping the warmongers in Washington, D.C. For years, the United States has recognized an official policy regarding Taiwan that Beijing is the sole government that oversees Taiwan, and Taiwan is not a country. Most people understand that at some point or another, China will reunify with Taiwan, and China, for their sake, hopes to do it peacefully. But the U.S. wants to turn Taiwan into the Ukraine of the Far East. For years, we've been selling Taiwan weapons, javelins, HIMARS, anything that we can get their hands on. Even worse, a few years ago, the United States Special Forces started to covertly and illegally train Taiwanese separatist forces in Taiwan. Yeah, we've sold Taiwan weapons for a long time, but this week Trump did something unprecedented. He sent Taiwan $870 million in direct military aid, a donation. It's really beginning to smell a lot like Ukraine in the lead up to NATO's proxy war against Russia there. And China understands that they're being threatened right now. Last night, the Chinese embassy in the United States tweeted out, "If war is what the U.S. wants, be it a tariff war, a trade war, or any other type of war, China is ready and we will fight till the end." Raytheon, Lockheed Martin, they understand that this whole Ukraine project and money laundering scheme is coming to an end, so they have to find their next big money laundering scheme, and China seems to be it. Also, Silicon Valley is very eager to start this war because Chinese tech and their tech industry is far outpacing Silicon Valley. Even Wall Street, the IMF, and the World Bank all love this idea about war with China, because China's economy is outpacing the United States' by about $5 trillion in GDP purchasing power parity each and every year. Not to mention, China's Belt and Road Initiative is actually outpacing the World Bank and the IMF in terms of their global reach with loans and development projects. And what do the Taiwanese people have to say about all this? 85% of the people in Taiwan do not want to become an independent country. They want to maintain the status quo, where mainland China and Beijing oversee their territory. Don't fall for the fake news. Don't fall for the propaganda. The Chinese are not your enemy. The deep state, the warmongers, and Wall Street are.